Okay, welcome to this week's shooting show. We're at home again in the southwest of Scotland, quite early in the Roebuck season. Lovely piece of ground I manage, an old castle close to home. Hope you enjoy it. Okay, this week we're on home turf in the southwest of Scotland in probably what is one of my favourite times of year actually. We're into kind of late spring, early summer. On the Roebucks, they're just starting to get territorial, so we're seeing quite a lot of activity now where the younger bucks are getting a bit of a hard time off the older bucks, and actually that's worked in our favour on this morning's stalk really. Early morning we're out, you know, it's light at 4:20, nobody's about. Great time of year. I've never minded getting up early, and bluebells are still flowering. Seasonally we're a little bit later than normal. I would say we're 2 or 3 weeks behind because it's really cold. I mean, it was cold right through spring and into summer. Nights even now, and we're still getting temperatures around sort of 5 or 6 degrees, and the wind changed northerly, so that's kept the temperature down. Nice bit of breeze to work with this morning, and quite a lot of deer moving. The piece of ground in question is bought by a friend of mine about 18 months ago, or slightly longer than that now, and he's done an awful lot of work on here. Nothing had been done. It was an old sort of castle, quite derelict. The land hadn't been touched, and he's done an awful lot of work clearing out the rhododendrons in the hardwoods, the native woodland, taking out some of the trees to thin and coppice in some of the willows, and it's actually turned it into quite a staggering piece of ground. It's amazing how opening it up has transformed the land. It absolutely oozes roe deer. It's just got everything for them. Beautiful, beautiful situation, and opening up a lot of areas that were previously impenetrable has made me realise there are probably slightly more roe deer on there than I'd originally thought. So clearly I'm under remit for a balanced population to start to reduce numbers. To that end, I'm really concentrating on the younger roe. We've got some very nice, what I would put animals in the 1 to 2 year old class. I want to sort of concentrate on those. Some very nice animals on there which I'll try to leave, but even some of the mature stuff I'm going to have to shoot. So this morning what's particularly targeting was that kind of mid-range buck. Bucks, if you were a little bit thin on the ground, you'd probably leave to mature and develop because they will make good animals, but if you know, you've got to balance your population. So that was the kind of plan for this morning's stalk.
This is the deer and just lay up. She's about, I don't know, 60 metres away from us, just laid looking at us, quite happy. Just mind her own business. As soon as that sun starts to get a bit of heat in it, you'll tend to find they'll start to get up and feed. So you'll be stalking a piece of ground like this. I know there's quite a few deer in here, but we're not seeing much moving at all. And this is why. just under the tree on the banking. What I've got in front now is a mature donor, a really good buck. That would be relatively easy now. Let me just crawl forward and get onto the bank in front and shoot that from here. It's about 160-yard shot from there, but I'm really not interested in shooting that deer. That's a good buck. I want to leave him on here for a good couple of years yet, spread his genes, what I'm looking for at the youngsters.
Not yet.
Girl. Good girl. Good girl.
I just love Roebuck stalking at this time of year. I mean, the scene is, it's just oozes deer. Beautiful bluebells, we've got the sun coming up, absolutely superb setting. And what we've got, a little Roebuck, little 6-point buck, he's only a youngster. And there was a big buck over to our left, which we saw earlier on, and you could possibly pick it up. There was a little bit of barking going on. He was clearly stopping out of the way. He was skulking around under the willow trees at the edge of this little coppice here. And I could watch him, and I couldn't get a shot at him. And the bigger buck was sort of doing his stuff, and the odd bark over there territorially, marking, etc. And he kind of skulked around the edge, but I was pretty sure he was going to come on. He was curious, but wary, and he was pretty sure he was going to come on this bank. So we managed to get set up across on a mound, probably about 140-yard shot, just over there. And he just worked up nicely. I mean, it gave us a perfect opportunity for a shot, but you just see now, I just want to point out that it's just changing into summer coat now. The youngsters are changing, so they look quite raggy, and it's just the effect of the old winter coat, the longer coat coming out, and now you've got this lovely fox red starting to come on underneath. Tends to start around the neck area, around the groin first, but lovely condition, nice little roebuck. Beautiful, beautiful. Almost ashamed to shoot. I love these animals. Almost ashamed to shoot them, but we have to do it. We'll probably take 3, maybe 4 young bucks off. It's not a massive piece, and 1 or 2 of the bigger lads need to go just to get the balance right. But this is exactly. I mean, he's a deer. If I didn't need to take any roebucks, he's one I would leave. I mean, he's going to make a lovely buck. Absolutely beautiful, beautiful condition. Shot placement, as you could see, was just sort of front shoulder. There is, I'll just walk you over to this because the massive blood loss. You can see some arterial, bright sort of long blood there, and he's got a little speck, and then he's gone straight over and bled out. But as I said, Josh has shifted about half of that. The shot site was from the banking, well up the banking, just across the way there. And I'm going to gralloch him on this very conveniently positioned hawthorn tree. So I think that's probably what I would say a beautiful morning. It's an absolute privilege to be out in countryside like this on a morning like this. I mean, this is Scotland at its best, but it's 90% of the year it's like this here. So you don't know what you're missing out on. Okay, I'm going to do as always, a suspended gralloch. It's one we always teach. It's by far the best way to, for my money anyway, by far the best way for doing any gralloch because of the cleanliness and the ease of operation really. From a safety angle, rifle's been unloaded and put away to one side. I'm going to actually hock the deer and then hang it up on the S-hooks just off this tree to drain off. And the only reason I hock the deer at this stage is it basically just makes it easier when I'm hanging it up to try and do it. Hang it up with the hocks on. And what I want really is to achieve quite a nice spread. Not dead straight, but I can work with that. So basically I've got a nice spread in the pelvic area. Quite a lot of ticks there, so tick numbers are starting to build up. It's not excessive, but I mean, there's quite a lot of ticks on him. But again, we're at that time of year where I would kind of expect that, but a few more than normal. But his condition's good, so he's bled out massively from the exit anyway, but a little bit more in there. So we've got a nice working area effectively now. Everything's starting to drain down into the chest. It's just bleeding out, so the cooling process has started. So what I'm just going to do is just basically skin the penis back up. Push it right over the back. And then I can actually, little V-cut. And that's now giving me a nice, I cut straight down into the H-bone, and I'll cut that with the bone saw shortly. And then I'm going to open him up down to the top of the clavicle, to the breastbone, and then I'll bring the knife down and work right down to the bleed hole. And from there, I'll split the diaphragm open down the chest line with the bone saw, and I'll cut the pelvic area with the bone saw. Basically that's opened everything up, so everything will come forward. And what I'll do is I'll work around the anus, because I'll have cut the pelvic bone, spread the legs so I've got about a finger gap in there, and I can pull everything through. I can lift it back, and then I can nick it off, and I can lift it forward. So any potential contamination is coming out of the carcass, and then everything is working down onto the floor, attached to the throat effectively, and at that stage if I wanted to I could take the head off and keep everything intact, and all the time the carcass is cooling. Even now I've opened this little nick here, the carcass is cooling, so it's all assisting the process of maintaining the integrity of the food that is subsequently going to go into the food chain. I'm just holding everything back in, stomach and intestines, by my hand, and then I'm just going to come down the front of the breastbone down to the bleed hole. It's congealing already. Everything's already wanting to come out. Now you can start your examination process at this stage. There's the spleen, plum coloured, that's an anthrax check, so that was swollen, grossly distended. Be an anthrax indicator, so again if you're doing level 2 this is what you'll be talking to your AW about. General condition of the carcass internally is clean. Be careful with that because obviously we've got a full bladder, but I mean you can see straight away, you're really not worried about this carcass, it just looks good. There's top of the liver there. Kidneys, I generally take them off at this point, I mean they're there. Again, no issue with them, clearly good healthy kidneys, and there's somebody who'll be wanting them for breakfast in a minute. Don't smack your lips when you're eating. So basically now, just a little bit careful with this one because we've got a full bladder, so I'm going to actually open the pelvic area. So I'll just free that off with my finger a little bit so I can get the bladder out of the way, not using the knife. And then there's connective tissue underneath, I can pull off with my fingers. That's kind of all ready to come out. I just want to protect that a little bit with my hand now while I cut this pelvic bone. Now this is the point where you want the legs as wide as you can actually get them. And that opens up that channel. I'm just freeing off a little bit, and then basically very carefully now easing that back, little V cut, and all forward. So any contamination that way. So now you've got a lovely clean pelvic area. I can leave that back now. And then the rest of the growlock is so simple at this point now. You've got the diaphragm skirt here. You can see that quite clearly. So all I'm going to do is just nick the top of the diaphragm skirt off and then coming round. So that's now freed off one side of the diaphragm skirt. And it's already gravity starting to take effect, so it's growlocking itself, this deer. And just teasing it round. Again, finger in just to make sure I don't nick anything. Growled itself. Okay. Lovely clean carcass. Massive shot damage there, you can see it's pretty much bang on the money, slightly angled shot. Massive damage. Deer, clearly, if you're going to shoot a deer, that's the way to shoot them. You can, if you want, at this point, kind of go through your examination. Everything's hanging up. We're looking for, on the lymph nodes, I've sort of glossed over that, what we're looking for on the lymphatic system, it's an indication of TB, and that would manifest itself in the form of swollen lymph nodes, pussy, gritty to touch, clearly infected. I've only seen it twice on any deer and they were obviously infected. In neither case it was TB, but we had we got the APHA out, Animal Plant and Health Agency, you know, contacted them, they came out, were really interested, took the carcass away, took some samples away, and about 6 weeks later notified me that it wasn't TB. They don't tell you what it is, but they told me that it wasn't TB. So looking for any swelling. Lungs themselves, pink, fleshy, aerated. Again, healthy. Fair to say, I think we could say that was a heart shot. I don't know what you think, but amazing really that thing didn't just roll over and give up the ghost. And then I'll go through the rest of the examination on the portal lymph node, which is on the liver. So there's the liver. Lovely. Not got any evidence of any liver fluke. And on the back of the liver, where it joins, we've got the portal lymph node in there. I can feel it more than see it. I'll cut that off now, and then I'll have a look at the lymph nodes in the intestines. So you've got the lumpy side on the intestines. I always call it the Cumberland sausage side. Flip it over, use the stomach as a table, flip it over, spread it out, make it easy for yourself. Mesenteric lymph node chain. So basically, not swollen, not enlarged, not gritty. Hard, quite hard to touch. But those are your mesenteric lymph nodes. Very, very healthy deer. Deer can go into the row sack, be over my shoulder, carried out, not touch the floor again. That's a nice clean ground. That'll be hanging up in the larder. Little rinse down with potable water, although it won't really need it. I just let it cool outside because the ambient temperature at the moment is still quite cold, even for the time of year. We're still sort of into the 5, 6, 7 degree mark. It soon gets warm when the sun comes up. We'll just let that cool for 10-15 minutes outside, and then that'll go straight into the chiller, and it'll sit at about 4 degrees till the dealer collects it. So that's a healthy deer. That's a good morning, I think. And Zosha's had a breakfast. I think very shortly we'll be having ours. Come on. Okay, that's it for this week. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks as always to the sponsors. Remember to like us on the social media platforms, and also remember, if you're not a member of BASC, it's time to join. Looking after your sport, looking after you. This has been The Shooting Show.